how's everybody doing? I'm switching over to the news now. I might regret this, but I like watching Deadline White House. And oh shit, they got another shooting. UNC police. I have no idea where this is. Might be University of North Carolina, but I don't know. Um, Over the weekend, I just added this. But over the weekend, I did this. I hooked this up. I hooked up the redstone, and I forgot about it at first. I was firing up to get. All I really cared about was getting some of the emeralds. But it dawned on me. I'm like, oh shit, I hooked that up. So I came. I don't know how much stuff I lost, but I came down here. There was one chest, and there was a bunch of shit floating in here. So I probably lost some stuff. So I added another chest and a hopper, and I'm getting the books and stuff out of here. And then I don't know if this is going to work or not. I'll take a look. I think I got some, so maybe it's working now. But the other thing I did, and I did this today. I still got it. This is a work in progress, but I added this. This one doesn't work. I gotta fix that. I'm not entirely sure what I'm gonna do, but I gotta fix this. I might just take this out so I can go like I did here. This one I just never put it in. That one there I had, and then I did a little bit more of the floor here, and I did a little bit of the floor under there. So the next time I go over and I think about it, I can bring back some more of this because I'll use some of this up, and then I got another shooting. But yeah, that's what I'm watching on news. This I had the news on like right after lunch before I streamed the first time, and they were talking about Trump's court dates and Mark Meadows' court dates and some of that. And this is just a good backdrop for. I got two calls of action for you guys. You see this on Twitter or if you see this on YouTube, please write everybody you vote for. Dog catcher on up. And basically ask them to legalize assisted suicide. We live in this world where people are getting murdered every fucking day almost. I mean, somebody just I think it's over 450 mass shootings. Not shootings, mass shootings. Um, that's more than one a day on average. We got two today so far, or whatever, and there's like 500 and some odd members of Congress. By the end of the year, we're probably going to have a mass shooting for every member of Congress in the House. And then you add the 100 senators, we might even get it to where we have a mass shooting for every member of both houses of Congress. And we can't get anything done because of these nut jobs. But yet we've got people like me that are sick and don't seem to be getting any better. You've got people that are dying. And like as my health gets worse, I watched my mom die in hospice the last week or two. She couldn't eat. Um, she wasn't pooping or peeing anymore. We didn't have to change her diaper or any of that because she wasn't eating. She basically starved to death. And because of a bunch of fucking religious nuts in this country, I had to watch that. I don't know if she would have wanted to go that way. Hey, that's fair enough. But she had a choice between hospice or chemo. She could have fought to stay alive for a couple months, but when she figured out that the cancer was inoperable, she chose hospice. I think that we as sentient human beings deserve better options than what we get with these religious nuts, and they're a minority in this country. They do not make up a majority. We shouldn't have to fucking live by their goddamn rules anymore on a lot of shit. Um, what I did was I put a torch on this and put something there. So I think you've got this one being slowed down, and this one should be getting slowed down because of this torch. And I think because of that, it's working. I'm going to find out. I got this here. If I start seeing these fill up, then I know it's working. But I think there were some new potions in here, and none of them made it over here. So I either didn't get any or they made it. And so that I got thinking about it because there was an old sorting system that I'm not using right now. And I tried to think of what made that thing work, but the funny thing is, I tested this before I added any fucking redstone to it, and it worked. And then as soon as I put it in line there, I'm not entirely. I'm sure if I could understand exactly what changes I made, it would work. Oh, and the other thing I want you to ask for is. Ask for your Congress people to support uh, the UAP UFO investigations. Uh, Tell them not to, because it looks like they might be wavering. Basically, let them know. Because somebody was talking about this, and they said, well, the thing is, if if people don't write their congressman and let them know that this is important, it could very well get swept under the rug. And here's the thing. I wish I could tell you exactly what we would find. I wish I could tell you I knew. But the fact is, if we knew, if anybody knew, really knew, we wouldn't need to. They could just tell everybody. I'd write a fucking book. You know, it might have some nudity in it, but I'd write a fucking book on it. And there'd be tales of sex and violence, and gypsies would be involved. Oh my! But but the fact is, we really don't know. I've seen things to suggest that maybe there's something real that we should be worried about, and I've seen stuff to suggest all the stuff that's happening at the Skinwalker Ranch. I ran into a story. I did a podcast on this. I used the guy's look for one of the podcasts I did with the guy's name, but he was the creator and founder of I think Tiger Scientific or something like that. He was a veteran in World War II with the Coast Guard. He learned how to operate radios. He didn't have like a college degree for any of this shit. He learned how to operate radios during World War II. Self-made guy. And he built himself up into a radio career after working in the Coast Guard. And then he eventually created his own company. And again, everything I got off of is like something called the Y files. I don't know how accurate it is. If they lied to me, then I'm lying to you, but I'm not doing it on purpose. And but he got military contracts, and he was so pumped about doing this. I mean, this guy was a patriot, by the sounds of it. He fucking moved close to the military base, so he'd be a little closer to where he was working. And he was a CEO. He probably didn't even have to do a whole lot, but he wanted to be in there rolling up his sleeves, working with everybody. Well, a lot of the stuff not all of it, but a lot of the stuff you see them talking about on Skinwalker Ranch, he experienced it. He was seeing, he was getting the megahertz communication signals. He worked to decode it. And it sounds like the whole thing was a disinformation campaign. The CIA or intelligence community were breaking into his place and helping him decode it. The guy ended up in a nut house. He ended up in a fucking nut house. He died in that nut house. His kid had to take over the company. And I don't know what to tell you. But the other thing about this, and this is why I really would hope you would consider, the other one, I can see why somebody maybe doesn't want to ask for assisted suicide to be legal. I get that. Please don't think of yourself, think of others. But, hey, if you don't want to do it, that's fair enough. But as far as this goes, and I could see, this one, if you think, the whole UFO thing is nuts, I really wish you'd open your mind and reconsider. But, hey, fair enough. That's been like a pushed on thing for a while. I could get that. But but here's the thing, you've got people in Congress. They've had military people come forward and tell them. They've had people with high qualifications in the intelligence. That was something Marco Rubio, and I got to tell you, I think he's a piece of shit, but I think he's been completely decent on this subject. I saw him in an interview, and he looked shook. He literally did not look like he was comfortable. There was another guy, and I think he was on News Nation. He was basically the guy they brought in as the government expert on like whatever this connected to the military or intelligence. And they were asking him all these questions, and he looked uncomfortable as shit. And then finally, he said, because he did this before the committee hearings about a month or so ago, and they were bringing him on ahead of time. And this guy looks so uncomfortable. He looks so incredibly. And then finally he goes, look, I'll answer all your questions as best I can. But he goes, I would really wait. I would really rather wait until after the hearing before I answer, because he said I might be able to better answer your questions. He goes, I'm going to give you very purposefully vague and honest answers, but he said I will be able to answer better maybe after the hearing. And he goes, I would definitely be able to answer better if we ever get the evidence. He goes, because this is the thing. He goes, they might come in and testify, and anything useful that they're going to say is going to be saved for a classified hearing or a skiff. He goes, and so that I may not, but he just looked so uncomfortable. So did Marco Rubio, and he's like, look, I don't know what to tell you guys, but he goes, we've got people with extremely high security clearances coming in and telling us that this stuff is real. And he goes, I don't know what's scarier, the fact that we might have people with high-ranking security clearances have gone through more background checks than we do in Congress, believing this and being crazy because they've got a security clearance. He goes, that's scary. He goes, but it also seems scary if what they're telling us is true. And this was the thing. I'm gonna harp on this because to me, when I saw this, I'm like, oh my god, that's like one of the best opinions you can have based on the facts. It was the Rendlesham Forest incident. I think it was. I can't remember the name right now but it was a joint military base in the UK. It had American people. I don't know if they were Army or Air Force, but it had American servicemen, and it had British servicemen. And one of the American deputy commanders of the base, and you got to understand this, they had a thing where they had come. Something had come. And they reacted to it. Well, then it was either the next day or later in the week, whatever it was, came back. And I can't think of the guy's name, but if you look it up, it'll give you the guy's name because he's like one of the main focuses of the story. He went out with security personnel, and he had a little tape recorder. It's not like now where you can go out with handheld devices and film and record hours and hours and hours of shit before you need a new battery and all the other bullshit. But what happened was it was one of them old style ones where most of you got to go ask your grandparents about this. But he probably had 15 or 20 minutes of total recording time on this. So he went out, and at key moments, he'd do like a quick recording, giving you an update. And he's got that audio tape, or somebody does. And in one case, one of the guys that was there, he touched a craft. And it sounds like now they've figured out something uploaded into him when he touched it. Because he was not a computer guy, but he started writing in ones and zeros, and somebody treated it like it was binary years later. Because he didn't tell anybody. He didn't know what the hell it was. He thought he was fucking losing his mind because it was one of those things where he just could not stop until he got it all out. Well, later on, he showed it to somebody because he didn't know what it was. He thought he lost his fucking mind. Kind of like that scene in, there's an old movie with Richard Dreyfuss in it, where after he meets aliens, he's just like spaced out eating potatoes like a vegetable. He's just sitting there at the table, mind gone, eating potatoes or whatever, while everybody else is having a normal meal. And, and somebody looked at it, and this was decades later. It was clearly old, it was not fresh, and he didn't know what it was. And they go, well, this looks like it might be binary computer language. So they put it in, and what it was like a message, something or other for the future of humanity, exploration. And basically, it gave like 2 or 3 sets of latitude and longitude coordinates. And one of them was the old high Brazil, which is something that, back in the 1500s or something like that, or 1300s, somebody copied all these old maps. And there's some speculation that the maps in question may have been from the Library of Alexandria that were taken to Constantinople when the library fell, and then may have been recovered by the Knights Templar when they sacked Constantinople, or when they dug up, God, I can't remember, there was something that it's a kind of conspiracy theory, but they think these guys dug it up when they were supposed to be in the promised land, when they were supposed to be there protecting travelers. There's like no evidence that that's what they were doing. Well, they think they were basically looting Solomon's tomb or something over there. And then when they found a bunch of shit, they came back and basically had a pretty good life because of whatever they had dug up. Well, they think that those maps were recovered when Constantinople fell. And then that's how they, there were some of them that survived. And those were used by other people to create these, like the prior Reese map and some other ones, which I just did a podcast on this, and I found this fascinating because I had heard the Reese maps, and there's more to Piri Reese or something like that. Well, those things there were made with more modern day map making abilities. My understanding is those things are more like modern day maps, but if you look at the majority of the maps that were made in that time period, they weren't accurate. And these were clearly made by, some of these maps clearly were made at a time when the world looked like it did 20, 30, 40, 50,000 years ago. And so you have to assume that they were made back then, like, long before the maps that copied them were made. And they were made more accurate than the maps that could be made back then. Some of them had features of things that, were before the Ice Age. And we didn't have maps of any of it until like the 18 or 1900s. Like they had one where they had a map of Antarctica without the ice on it. You're talking about before the Younger Dryas. You'd have to go back to then. And we didn't even know that Antarctica was there until like because they said, yeah, here's a map, doesn't have Antarctica on it. He goes, that's because it hadn't been discovered yet, and that map was made in the late 1800s. Nobody had found it yet, and so we've got this stuff out there now, and it's just every couple years there's more and more stuff that they find, and we need these people in Congress to get to the bottom of this. This I got all turned around on this, but yeah, this guy, he was targeted. Apparently, there's a military guy that said Corso. He was Air Force, and allegedly he was like Air Force Special Intelligence Group, and he admits that yeah, we ran a number on him. And it sounds like he may have lost his job when this guy ended up in a fucking nut house. And because my understanding is what this guy admitted to doing is illegal. The military and even the CIA are not allowed to run stuff like that on Americans on American soil. They can do it overseas, but they're not allowed to target Americans with disinformation. And and I guarantee you, and we had a president. It was Eisenhower, President Ike. Um, Eisenhower, when he left office, warned America of the military industrial complex. He warned us. He said, "Hey, these people are out here. They're not good. You should be afraid of them." He said that. And if you talk to one of his grandkids, there's one of his granddaughters. I don't know. I'm not going to call her a liar because I don't know. But she said that he knew about aliens, and he was gonna put a stop to some of the stuff that was going on. And she goes, he had a set date where he was gonna fix stuff. And what happened was they stopped him, and she said that's why he did that military industrial complex. See, I don't know if it's true or not, but I heard one story with Eisenhower where they tried to deny him access. This would have been early in his presidency. They tried to deny him access to something, and he showed up with the military, and he let them know. He goes, one way or another, I'm coming in. You can either let me go in, or these guys behind me with guns, they're going to kick the fucking door in and come in. And so that's how he found out about some of this stuff. But and this is the thing that I was talking about in the previous stream. And that's not going to be a podcast. I do upload them, but it's not going to be a podcast. This one here, I'm hoping will get out to more people. But you go back to World War II, and Harry Truman, future vice president, and maybe this is why FDR wanted him as vice president. Maybe he wanted him to be the president if something happened. He was actually looking for somebody that'd be a worthy successor, because he had to know about his health. He had to know every day was a struggle, and there was a guy who cared about his country, and he wanted somebody in there that would carry the torch, when it was all, if something happened to him. And but when he was in Congress, he did these hearings on the military, your Halliburtons, and you can go back and look at the history of Vietnam, and I'll try not to get too derailed here on this, but you can go look at the history of Vietnam. It's real similar. You can go look up the facts. You don't have to take it seriously. This is not one of those things where at least trust and verify. But this is one of those things, and for the most part, I don't, hey, feel free to go look this up. But you can look at like the military contractors, like the people that made the helicopters and the jeeps and the weapons. There were a lot of them countries before World War or before Vietnam. They were going broke. They were absolutely going broke. And then what happened was when the war started, they were all flush and profitable. That's a fact. And the other thing is, you go to the second Gulf War, not the one that Poppy Bush was running. That one I'm not. That one I honestly don't know one way or the other. But you can go look at Halliburton, the company Dick Cheney ran. That company's financials looked like shit. And then and again, I saw a documentary on this. I firmly believe this to be true, but if they lied to me, then I'm lying to you. The only thing is I'm not doing it on purpose. Feel free to go look this up. Oh, I'm gonna zip down and check one thing. Okay, nothing yet. I'll have to check that later. I'm not gonna spend a lot more time on that. I just wanted to do one more, show you that it's working. And then the other thing I'm gonna do is I might dig out this way. Not gonna do it right now, but oh, I took the wrong one. Um, what I'm gonna do is either this here or that one, maybe all three. And this one here already sort of does. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this. This one sort of does, but I'll make entrances where I can get in here with these outside, so I won't have to keep going down the bamboo scaffolding or whatever. But okay, okay. The person of interest is now in custody from that shooting. But when Dick Cheney got in there as vice president, and I don't know for sure when it is, but I think it's pretty clear that George Bush wasn't really in charge at first. And Reagan, I think, was a little bit the same way. He got in there and he had people running things in his name, and he let them. And I think Bush was the same way. And then at a certain point, I think he cracked the whip, and you saw like Dick Cheney, or not Dick Cheney, but Rumsfeld, and some of the other ones left. And when they left, then I think he put people in there because my understanding is at the end, uh, Dick Cheney was pounding on the door the last couple days, like before he handed it over to Obama. The last couple days, they were saying that Dick Cheney was just fucking wailing on the Oval Office's door or the resident's door, demanding that President Bush fully pardon Scooter Libby. And the history on that, and again, go look it up. This may or may not be on the internet, but I saw again. If they were lying, then I'm giving you bad information, but I'm not doing it on purpose. Uh, there were people who were jury members on Scooter Libby's trial, and they put him on trial for outing a. Oh, we got to. Nope, 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 nope. See that I am positive. I might have missed it. That could be on me, but I don't remember seeing. Um, I don't remember seeing a bad omen there. I've had that happen before. It's like, and there's been times where I know there isn't. I'm not entirely sure on that, but I don't remember seeing one of those. And then I get over here, and sure enough, uh, but One, two, three. And but they talked to one of the jury, at least one. I think it was more than one, but I saw an interview. I mean, I actually saw the interview, but I think there was more than one of them that might not have done interviews, but I think they expressed, yeah, we kind of agree with her on that. I think it was a female. And what they did was they were in there. They saw all the evidence. They absolutely saw all the evidence. And I guess there were a lot of them. They could not figure out why Dick Cheney and Karl Rove were not on trial too, because all the evidence they saw that convicted Scooter Libby, who was the chief of staff for the vice president, they said all the evidence we saw that convicted him would have convicted Rove and Cheney if they'd have been there. And but this is a pattern that we see where they got to have somebody who's a scapegoat. So for outing Valerie Plame and whatnot, they made Scooter Libby the victim. They didn't make Karl Rove the victim. They didn't make Dick Cheney. They just, and then we've seen it with Abu Ghraib, another Republican scandal. They let all the low-hanging people swing, and then they found a general. She was the one who was in charge of that base, but she was in charge of like 17 fucking bases over there in Iraq. And I am willing to bet, if I was a betting person, I'd go all in on the fact that none of that shit happened when she was on site. She was there maybe 1 or 2 days a month at best. And I guarantee you they probably didn't do that would be my guess. If I was a betting person, I'd go all in, all of my money against all of yours, but I'm not a betting person, so I'm not taking it. But all of my money against all of yours that shit didn't happen when she was there. But that they scapegoated her. And to me, that's as shitty in the Navy. If you've got somebody that's a fucking moron and they disobey orders and they run a submarine or a ship into something, the captain gets blamed, or the XO gets blamed, or both. And it might be something that they ordered the person not to do it, and so on and so forth. Well, this is the same thing. They scapegoated that woman, and that to me that's wrong. I'm offended by that. I mean, if she did it, fine, I'm okay with that. But and then it was the same thing. Chris Christie. This is a Republican pattern. When they had that Bridgegate thing, they found all this evidence. I am pretty sure that if push came to shove, you might have gotten Chris Christie on this. There were definitely other people involved in it. They found one of his people to scapegoat it. Abu Ghraib, they found all the low-hanging fruit. They put them in jail, and then we saw the same thing on January 6th. They didn't want to investigate anybody at the top. There were prosecutors that wanted to go look at the leadership in the White House. They wanted to go look at the leadership in Congress. Everybody that seemed to be involved, from their little "It's 1776" tweets to giving recon tours to the fucking domestic terrorist and the cult, to basically tweeting out the locations of Mike Pence and Nancy Pelosi so they could be hunted down and taken to the fucking gallows. There were people that wanted to investigate all of this, and I'm sure it sounds like they may have it now, but I am pretty sure they would have seized the Secret Service phones. They would have seized the DHS phones. They would have probably grabbed the White House phones, the congressional phones, and some of that stuff was destroyed. The evidence on it was destroyed. But there were prosecutors who want to do that, and they talked to the FBI, and Christopher Wray and the leadership of the FBI said, "Oh no, 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 just go get the low hanging fruit. Go get the fucking low lifes that were there. We're not investigating, not no no no." So they went to DOJ and said, "Hey, the FBI's not letting us do this," and the FBI or the DOJ's like, "Yeah, just go get those low hanging people. We'll find some scapegoat to pin this on later." That and then the January 6th committee, Democrats and some Republicans, a minority of the Republicans, they did the right thing. They embarrassed the DOJ. They went through there hammer and tong. And they got these people, and most of them were Republicans, maybe all of them were Republicans, and they basically pulled them aside and they said, "Hey, do you want to be up on the cross with Trump and everybody else, or do you want to be banging in the fucking nails with us?" And they got in line, and they came in, and some of them probably would have done it anyways, but they came in and they told the truth. And it's really a sad state for our country when people who are doing the right thing and telling the fucking truth look like heroes, because it's so rare anymore to see people doing that. I don't know. I just it's depressing for me. It really is. And okay, we got 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. That's just fucking disgusting to me. It really is. 2, 3, 4. And but that we've got that going on now. This is what I find really fucking sad about this. Hang on. I screwed up. But we got people that are coming forward now. It sounds like President Eisenhower was another one of them. He wanted the truth to come out, and his grand. Now again, maybe she's wrong. I don't know, but she says that her, from what she got from the family, her grandfather wanted to do the right thing, and you had people in power that don't want the truth to come out, and we're seeing it again now. You had people. Jesus fucking Christ. Fuck you. And we got people now. They've come forward. They've tried to do the right thing. And then you've got people that are making fun of them, pointing out their PTSD and all the other shit. There was a guy, he was on board the Nimitz. And Master Chief or whatever. And he has tried to get to the bottom of this, and I think he was harassed and ridiculed. I've seen him in interviews, and that poor guy. I wish I could remember his name. I wish I could do him the honor of telling you guys what his name was. But he was breaking down. There was an interview he did. 1, 2, 3, 4. And he was breaking down. He was flipping the fuck out. One, two, three. But it was just fucking breaking down. So he went through some shit over this, and it sounds like there might be some pushback on this where people are fucking around. And it sounds like Congress might be backing off. So you got to write them if you really want the truth. And again, I don't know if we're gonna get ET, but I think we're gonna get either ET or we're going to get corruption. maybe both. Because that one Republican congressman, and I'm pretty sure he's right, um, he basically said that the Pentagon has failed every audit they've ever been given. And it's either always or damn near always by like $1 billion. And I'm gonna repeat this a lot. I can give you a billion fucking reasons why you should want your congressman to fucking get involved in this. Regardless, I mean, I don't care if it's ET or if a bunch of corrupt sons of bitches are making it look like ET so they can steal. It's going to be one or the other. I'm sorry. And I'm kind of rambling here, but if you go back to World War II, Harry Truman did these. I'm kind of trying to link it all together, and I'm not doing a very good job, and I apologize for that. But Harry Truman uh, did these congressional hearings looking into waste, fraud, and abuse. And when he became the vice president, uh, General Marshall thanked him for it. He told him those committee hearings you did where you got to the bottom of what was going on. He goes, I think he said they were worth a couple battalions to him because that money that was going into somebody's pocket suddenly started showing up on the front lines. And you can say what you want. You can honestly say what you want, but that probably, maybe it didn't cause us to win the war, but it definitely contributed to it. Maybe we'd have still won the war, but if that money wouldn't have been coming in, it might have taken longer. We might have lost more lives. And you look at it now. If Burchett is right, and we are losing $1 billion a year at the Pentagon, well, if we suddenly started having that money, if we stopped letting people steal it, well, then guess what? That's $1 billion that could go to pay down the debt. That's $1 billion that could be funding the war in Ukraine. That's $1 billion that could be used on a law. That could put computers in every school. That could put school lunches. That could go towards health care. There's a whole bunch of good things that could happen if we put a stop to somebody. And again, I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's going to fucking black top secret fucking UFO programs, or if it's just defense contractors lining their fucking pockets. If we stop that steal, let's steal that term for this. If we stop that steal, God knows what we could actually fund with that. That to me sounds like a positive thing. So like I said, write to them, legalize assisted suicide. Think about that. I'd really appreciate if you did it. But the other thing is, regardless of what, and again, I don't know. And I've kind of reached out to them myself, and I'm like, I don't even know what we're going to find, but I go, I think you're going to find some money that's been misappropriated, and regardless of what else you find, I go, I think you're going to find some money that got diverted that shouldn't have. And I'm pretty sure you're going to find that. And I told him, I go, this is an Iran-Contra level of corruption. This is something that, regardless of whether you believe in ET or not, if you've got a congressman saying, we might not be able to prove it, but they're lying to us. I go, it really looks like they've been tampering with your witnesses, people that have come forward. And I go, you got 2 military veteran pilots who are testifying under oath that this stuff is true. I go, you got a guy who basically was interviewed by, I gotta go here. And I go, you got a guy that was interviewed by an inspector general, a guy who had, he he had the security clearance to look into everything this guy told him, and he came forward and said, "Yeah, this guy's credible. You should really listen to him." I go, "What more do you guys need?" I go, "I don't care who it is." I go, because I don't believe it's the president. And if it is, well, he's just one elected official. You guys are other elected officials. You guys should basically, whoever it is, you should let them know, hey, we're elected, and if it isn't the president, you should let them know, hey, we're elected, you're not. You don't, because that was something, and again, I don't know if it's true or not. I don't think he's lying about it. I absolutely don't think he's lying about it. But one of the things Burchett said was that they tried to get something that would bring out disclosure, and his leadership came back. So this would be McCarthy, I think. I think it would be after McCarthy became, but they tried to get something put in, and his leadership came back and told him, yeah, that's not going to make the bill. That's not going to make the bill. He goes, it was stopped by the intelligence community. And he said it would be one thing if they came and told us the intelligence committee didn't want us to do it. Fellow elected members and that being their area of expertise. He said it would be one thing if they told us. But he said it was the intelligence community. He goes, they're not elected officials. They shouldn't be telling, and I'm like, I'm kind of with him on that. Now, if they made a case and they won them over, but see, nothing was explained to them. They were just informed. Yeah, the intelligence community, bunch of unelected motherfuckers, basically said no. So you're not going to get it. That doesn't seem right. I'm just saying. I really don't know, but it just doesn't seem like a good idea. That doesn't seem right. And so I don't know. But that's what we're dealing with. So please write them, tell them to do this because I don't know what's going to happen. And the thing is, they were talking to that one reporter. He's been breaking news on this. Uh, he basically pointed it out this way, like when they outed the PTSD of that one intelligence official who still has a high rating for his security clearance. They knew about it when he had already had it happen when they gave him that clearance. So they looked him up head to toe, and he passed muster. And again, that inspector general that he talked to, that guy didn't go, oh man, that he didn't go to Congress. Hey, this guy's got PTSD. He sounds like a fucking whack job. They basically told Congress he's credible. I looked into the stuff he's talking about. There's something to this. You should get into this. This is what they told Congress. They told him, yeah, you should really get into this. That what he's saying is making a lot of sense. And I don't know. I literally don't know. But yeah, this is something we need done. And here's the thing: my health isn't good. This is something I've cared about for a while. It would really be nice to get to the bottom of this in whatever time we got left. I don't think I haven't really put the effort into it, but that was something that one guy on Need to Know. He was friends with Stanton Freeman, who is he was like a major. Again, for the most of you people probably have no idea because he might have died before some of you were born out there who would be checking this out. But this is a guy that really, and he was a nuclear rocket scientist. Yes, they have rockets that are nuclear powered and they go a lot faster than the chemical ones do. But this is a guy that spent so much time and energy doing this, and it's the American guy on Need to Know. I guess when he died, he was just so sad because he had spent so much time on this, and he felt he had nothing to show with it because he had spent, he had a career, And then when his career was over, he started doing this, and he just didn't get anywhere. He did the due diligence. He worked his ass off, and and I guess he was just a little sad that he had put all that effort in. Because I think when he started, and fucking George Knapp is probably like this. I got a feeling that oh, I can't think of her name. She's basically old school like George Knapp. She's been doing this for a while. I'm not saying she isn't trustworthy. I'm saying I don't think she has avoided the stigma of being a UFO reporter like George Knapp has. I think she's got a website, the Earth Files or something like that. Linda Moulton Howell, that's the one. And she's another one. I think as she gets older, if we don't have answers, her and others that have been, they put like 20, 30, because I mean, her and George Knapp have been covering this since the 90s. They had a little bit of an established career before this, but both of them started covering this back at least in the 90s. And these people have spent a lot of time. And if they basically get to the point where they're dying, I think they'd be the same way. They'd be a little sad that they spent all this time, and because I got a feeling that if you talk to them, they'd be like, well, they felt like they were moving forward and moving forward, and then they just got body slammed and thrown back, and nothing good came out of it. And I think it'd be a little disappointing for them. So I don't know. But yeah, so them are the two calls to action. Please, please consider at least for the one of getting them to investigate this, because again, even if there's no UFOs, even if there's no grand conspiracy to fake UFOs, I think you're going to find one or the other. I honestly think you're going to find one or the other. But you're definitely going to find a misuse of money, either from incompetence and not being able to track it, or they're pissing it away on something they shouldn't. And I'm not talking about the $600 hammers or the fucking magic toilet seats that cost $600. There was an episode of West Wing. They had Christian Slater on there, and one of the characters was all mad about the military spending like $300 on an ashtray, and he took an ashtray out of one of his boxes, threw it on his desk, and smashed it with a fucking pipe that she had brought in to try and fix his heating system in his office. And when he smashed it, he said, "Look, I worked on a nuclear submarine for so many years," and he goes, "Things cost more in there," because he said, when we could smoke on there, I need a $300 ashtray so that if it shatters during a fucking fight, it breaks safely into 3 pieces instead of a million pieces that can get in my eye. And he said that's why. Then she's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you just broke a 300." And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "I'm kind of regretting that," because he goes, "It's a nice souvenir." But there are things that cost more in the government, but there's also a lot of stuff. I've heard this from people that were in the military. These companies do is they underbid contracts so they can get them. So they're contracts they don't deserve to have, but they have to get the price right so they can get the contract. Well, then what they do is they charge an exorbitant amount of money for replacement parts or something else. And because there were people in there, they figured out a cheaper way to do something, and they saved a shitload of money. Well, they wire this stuff in there, and that way they can underbid the contract. They can get the contract, and then they make the money up somewhere else. Well, we're not talking about that. This is absolutely not what we're talking about, because they would make their budget. If somebody is underbidding them for a fighter jet and overcharging them for parts or ammo or something else on it, That would all come out clean in the budget. They'd be like, well, yeah, we've got $85 billion for this, and we've got 20. What we're talking about is like $1 billion of stuff that nobody knows where it is. This happened when and again, I'm sure it happens on both sides. I don't know that to be true, but I would be willing to bet that a little bit of this happens no matter who's in the White House, no matter who's running Congress. But we haven't had honest accounting of the military and its suppliers since Harry Truman became vice president, I would be willing to bet. Or at least going back maybe to Eisenhower. The military and industrial complex, which he fucking warned us about on his way out of office, we haven't had this accountability. And they just started looking at it now. And now all of a sudden they're attacking congressional witnesses. They're trying to smear them. They are pushing back and we're getting this right from members of Congress. They are pushing back on the leadership to fucking hide this. We need these hearings. And like I said, the way that congressman talked, it sounds like I can give you a billion reasons a year, at least, why we need these. Because again, it's not like, oh, well, they had $1 billion that was spent on X, Y, or Z, and oh my God, I can't believe they're spending it on that. We don't even know what it was spent on. Did it fall off a fucking truck? Did the fucking Teamsters take it from a pallet in a shipping thing? Did they fucking give it to the Saudis? I mean, and again, I don't know. I literally don't know, but this is what they had trials on for Iran-Contra. And I don't think it was $1 billion that we were talking about. And the thing is, with Iran-Contra, we knew what they were buying. We knew what they were buying. We knew what they were selling. We don't know that. We have no fucking idea what this money went towards. We just don't know. And that would be an improvement. If they could at least find out what this was spent on, it might curl your hair. It might piss you off. But we would at least know what it is. That would be an improvement, no matter how horrible it is. And one of the things that was said, and I think this guy is the district where, it's the district where, thank you. It's the district where I think Wright-Patterson Air Force Base is. And that guy was saying, oh my God, this would be embarrassing. This would be embarrassing to the fucking military. Fuck them. If it is, then they need to quit. They fucking need to quit doing it. If it's embarrassing to the military, they need to stop. I guarantee you, if I had a job where a fucking $1 billion came up missing, I would say I probably deserve to be fired. I had one job and I actually had the ability to go get stuff and bring it back. Now, I brought it back. I put it in the cabinet. Now, if other people in the area were stealing that shit, I got no control over that. I can only control it when I'm there. But, I would go over there. I'd get stuff. We'd have some spares because we needed it for repairs and to fix stuff and all this other shit. And then, it's stuff that should have lasted us for the year. Absolutely should have lasted us. Or you went over and got somebody's sockets and other stuff, and then they left and they took it with them. Well, then the new person needed stuff. And it's like, hey, I'll do what I can. But, it wasn't like I was making $1 billion worth of money just vanish off the face of the earth. And again, they knew, there was a list. They could have come and talked to me at any time. But it's like, well, yeah, we need the WD-40 for fixing the door panels and some of the other stuff at the time. And when we got the new ones, they were real delicate in that. But it's like, yeah, that's what we got it for. Well, you're going through an awful lot of, well, we had a lot of repairs at one point. And if people come over during the weekends or whatever else and they're stealing the shit out, we don't have anything locked. God forbid, you trust the people you work with, but the shit goes missing. Well, we either need the replacements or we're not going to do the repairs. It's up to you. And, but oh my God, man. Oh my God. That would just be a huge improvement if we could find out what the fuck they took the money for. They really would. Well, that is my message for today. Seriously, think about those call to actions. Let's get going on those. And then I hope everybody has a good day. Hope we have a good week. The weather was not too bad. I'm going to just count my blessings when I can. But the weather today was not that bad. Um, I think it's warming up now because the air conditioning is kicking in. But all morning, and then we went out and I got some. I needed some milk. There's something I wanted to make, and you needed milk for it, so we had to go get milk at lunch. I got some stuff for cleaning the litter boxes, and even with all that activity, I still had a pretty good day. I didn't fade like I have some days in the afternoon, so that was good. I got lottery tickets for the night, so wish me luck on the Powerball and wish me luck on Badger 5. And then like I said, I hope everybody has a great day. Hope everybody has a great week. Peace out and take care.